Welcome to our regression tutorial on predictions. We're going to keep going with the same data set that we've been using where people are interested in coffee intake and their level of anxiety at 11 a.m. And here's the setup. It's the same as last time. The data set is the coffee.csv data set, which can be found in the link below in the description. It's a Google Drive link, and we've been playing with this data trying to understand it, and this time we would like to do some predictions. Specifically, can we use this information to predict a new observation of anxiety level when they drink 20 cups of coffee per week? Okay, so we have a value for X. What if they drink 20 cups of coffee per week? And you might say, that's insane, but the average American drinks about 3 cups of coffee per day. Multiply that by 7, that's 21. Okay, so this is the output we found in the, one of the previous videos where we were looking at finding the confidence interval, and I'm just using this again because it's the same equation of the line. If you want to see how to make that happen, just go back to that video and you can see exactly how to come up with this output. All right, so our equation of our line is y hat equals b0 plus b1x. Remember, b0 is this value here. It's our constant value, 0.926. And we're going to have b1 is 0.211. And if we're interested in specifically at 20 cups of coffee, we would just plug in 20 into our equation here. That's all you have to do is plug in 20 and calculate the value, and you'll find that 9.146 is the anxiety level. And we can actually interpret this. So this means that if a person drinks on average 20 cups of coffee per week, we would expect their 11 a.m. anxiety level to be 9.146. Now, this is a prediction of the mean. But what if we wanted to get a prediction interval for this? So what we're going to do is we're going to move over to SPSS, and we're going to look at how to get not only predictions and a picture with the prediction lines on it, but we can also get the actual prediction intervals for a person with 20. All right, so let's move over there. Okay, our goal here is to generate predictions or predicted values for our data set. So basically we have these levels of coffee, and we would like to predict the anxiety to get the actual prediction out of it, what we would expect somebody to be. Because sometimes we have many people in our data set that are a little bit different from each other, meaning there's some variation. For example, if I look down here, here's a person who has 20 cups of coffee per week. Their anxiety is 9.25. This other person right below them has 20 cups of coffee per week and has an anxiety of 8.97. So they're not exactly the same value. So what we'd like to do is predict, if you had 20 cups of coffee, what is your average anxiety level? And we can do this pretty easily in SPSS. We go up to Analyze. We go down to Regression, just like we've been doing. We're going to go to Linear, just like we've been doing. Our dependent variable is anxiety. Our independent variable is coffee consumption. We're going to go over here, and we can put Save on here. And if we save it, it says predicted values. You can see this right here. I'm going to put unstandardized because I want the actual value. Standardized means something else, which we'll talk about way later in videos farther down the line. But right now, we're just trying to get the basic idea done. But more importantly, we can also get prediction intervals. What would be a reasonable value for the somebody's prediction of their anxiety if they had so much coffee? So we can either predict values about the mean or the individual. Right now, I'm just going to leave it to the individual, and I'll show you why, because we're also going to make a picture. I'm going to hit continue, and then I'm going to just say okay. And if you noticed, real quick, you're going to see that we got pre-1 over here, LICI1, UICI1. These are our prediction intervals, and they're 95% prediction intervals. L stands for the lower bound, U stands for the upper bound, and this is our prediction. And we'll look at this here in a little bit just a little bit closer. And the output here adds some other things, which are residual statistics, which we're really not going to focus on at the moment. We'll come back to these in another video, but right now we're focused on predictions. So we do have predictions over here, and they are useful. The next thing we might want to do is we might want to go up to graphs, so we can see a picture of what this looks like. Go to scatter, use a simple scatter, like we've done before, hit define, and in here you can see what our data is, and it leaves the other ones here. But if I go over to options, I can find that I don't get anything here or here, which you're like, well, I should be able to put a line on there, and we will be able to. But first we have to generate the scatter plot. Okay, then what we can do is we can click on here, and if we double click, another window will pop up. And in this other window, you will see where we can edit some things. And it looks like we can add a reference line. And here we can add a fit line at total. So we have to pay attention to this. It's kind of hard to get to. It's not direct. It's not easy to find. And the icon is kind of small, and it's kind of in an inconvenient place. So I'm going to click this, and a window is going to pop up here. Move it down here, and it says, do you want to put a line in, a linear line? But it also has confidence intervals, and these are, I'm going to put in the individual in this case, and I'm going to hit apply. And what it's going to do is it's going to add predictive lines onto my picture here. So this line in the middle is the mean, and these outer bands are the prediction intervals. That would say if somebody's drinks 20 cups of coffee, this is the lower bound visually of where their anxiety would be, and this is the upper bound on where their anxiety would be in a predictive sense. We're predicting what their anxiety would be versus actually measuring it. And notice how wide the bands are. And the other kind of thing that's interesting to note is that these are 95% bands, meaning that we would expect 95% of the time, if we were to make a prediction, it would fall inside the bands. Here you can see we had one observation fall outside, and that's not necessarily a problem, but it just shows you that whenever you do prediction bands, you should not expect every single value to fall inside the bands, because there's uncertainty associated with them. All right, so we've learned how to generate the predictions, and we've learned how to make the picture, which is really handy. So whenever you're done with this, you can just click X here, and in the other window you'll see that it put it back into the other window. So it's added it here. But if I want to get to the values exactly, they're over here in the columns here. So this is what we're going to be talking about, because when somebody says what's the predicted value, you can see the predicted value. And for the person down here that was 20 and 20, the two people, notice their predicted values are the same, their lower bound values are the same, and their upper bound values are the same. And so you can learn something about where somebody is likely to fall when it comes to their anxiety if they drink 20 cups of coffee per week on average. All right, so this takes care of this video, and we will move on to talking more about how to measure whether we have a good model or not in the next video. So see you there.